CO discovers 8-year-old Maid'S daughter solving a $1 billion issue, her amazing talent revealed. Jessica was running late that morning, her heart racing as she caught a glimpse of the lavish lobby of the Rosewood Hotel. Each day, she pushed her cart through the sumptuous halls, past the crystal chandeliers and silken curtains, reveling in the glamorous world of the wealthy that felt forever out of her reach. With her 8-year-old daughter, Maya, in mind, Jessica overcame spills, rumpled sheets, and all the little frustrations of being a single mom. A tear of pride mixed with exhaustion threatened to spill, but she couldn't afford to let it show. Maya needed her. Between shifts, as Jessica tidied the front desk area, she noticed a small figure engrossed in a world of her own. Maya sat cross-legged, crayons in hand, scribbling enthusiastically on a scrap of paper. Jessica's heart swelled when she realized what her daughter was doing. Crude drawings of a tidy house adorned one side of the paper, while intricate equations danced across the other. What began as doodles transformed into mathematical play, and suddenly Maya wasn't just her daughter. She was a genius at work. "Maya!" Jessica exclaimed, crouching down beside her. "What is this?" Maya grinned up at her, eyes sparkling like stars. "I'm figuring out how much money we need for our dreams, Mommy. Look! If I solve this, we can buy the new place you talk about." Jessica's chest tightened, her heart aching with the weight of dreams she herself thought were long gone. They could escape their cramped apartment, survive, thrive if only. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications, so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Meanwhile, in a plush corner of the lobby, Jack, the tech executive, sat disconnected from a fracturing world he once commanded. His company, recently in turmoil, felt the icy grip of failure tightening around him. Flickers of life surged through his body as he spotted the young girl, her colorful creativity lighting up the drab hotel corner. At that moment, she began to embody a glimmer of hope he thought long extinguished. The mere thought of embracing Maya's potential thrilled and terrified him at the same time. Could he really champion this girl? The whispers of his boardroom echoed in his ears, cautioning him against investing in someone they deemed a maid's daughter. As the showcase event neared, tension crackled under the surface. Maya's talent radiated, but could they protect it from being crushed under corporate prejudice? In the midst of clashing opinions, when Maya was greeted with mockery instead of applause, Jessica's emotions erupted like a dam breaking, her voice rising thick with emotion. "She deserves respect. My daughter is brilliant." The room fell silent, as if time halted in the face of Jessica's raw plea. Jack watched, mind racing. Could his courage overcome the relentless tide of ingrained elitism? In this moment of swirling emotions, Jessica and Jack exchanged a glance, one filled with urgency and determination. Could they rise above their circumstances? Together, they stood at a precipice, battling a world that seemed intent on silencing the voices of the underestimated. Would they be able to convince others that innovation truly knows no address? In that moment, hearts hammered, and everything hinged on the overshadowing question: can they break free from societal constraints to showcase a talent that embodies the true spirit of the American dream? Jack took a deep breath, absorbing the gravity of the moment. Jessica's fierce love for her daughter cut through the polished veneer of the corporate world like a hot knife through butter. He had always admired strength, but this was different. This was survival. It was raw and unfiltered. As murmurs and murmurs filled the room, Jack stood up. The room shifted its attention toward him, all eyes now filled with curiosity. He cleared his throat, every eye upon him, and he felt the weight of the decision on his shoulders. "Everyone, if I may," he began, his voice steady despite the rising tide of anxiety. "What we've just witnessed is not just a childish daydreaming. This is an extraordinary mind at work, and it's our duty to cultivate that." There was a shift in the air as the crowd exchanged skeptical glances. Jack pressed on. "We are facing an unprecedented challenge in our industry. The same innovative spirit that built this company can be reignited not by money but by ideas. And right here is a little girl who has just shown us what that concept looks like." Jessica felt a wave of hope wash over her, but feared it might crash just as quickly. Would they actually listen? Would they understand what was at stake? A tall man at the back scoffed at Jack's words, shaking his head dismissively. "Come on, Jack. You're seriously endorsing a child as our savior? There are grown experts in the field of finance who've failed to solve this problem." "Exactly," Jack replied, unwavering. "Experts are blinded by convention. Sometimes the most brilliant solutions come from the unlikeliest of places." His gaze fixed on Jessica, then moved to Maya, whose face was a canvas of innocent excitement. Jessica's heart raced at Jack's resolve. Perhaps, just perhaps, they were entering a new chapter marked not by doubt, but by possibility. She felt a knot in her stomach. What if this didn't work out? What if they crushed Maya's spirit when realities of the business world came crashing in? The risk felt monumental. Maya's pencil scratched excitedly against the paper, her little face a mix of determination and excitement. Jessica couldn't help but smile, the warmth of her daughter's passion pulsing a sense of fortitude through her. "It's going to be okay," she whispered silently to Maya, who looked up, giving her the most confident nod. A collective silence fell over the room as Jack continued, arming himself with an argument rooted in compassion. "This isn't just about money. It's about making a difference. Dare I say, the heart of our company should be innovation, vision, and heart. And Maya embodies that. Maybe we should allow the girl the chance to present her ideas," someone from the front suggested. The shift in tone sparked excitement, the atmosphere buzzing with intrigue as whispers swirled. Jessica leaned into every word. Could they really give her daughter a chance? A golden opportunity, for both of them, to step away from the shadows? The more they conspired, the more Jessica's heart soared until a lingering thought gripped her. If they opened this door, could they withstand the backlash that would surely come? And then, a realization struck her like a thunderbolt. The courage of a mother must come before fear of the judgment, right? Just as she was about to voice her support, Jack turned toward her, his eyes wide with her determination mirrored back at him. "Jessica, what do you think?" Suddenly, it felt like a crossroads deciding whether to move forward or retreat. Would she risk it all for her daughter? Would she align herself with a powerful man who had seen promise in Maya? With her heart in her throat and the eyes of the world upon her, Jessica took a step forward, ready to face whatever came next. But would the world welcome a child, the Maid'S daughter, with open arms, or would they slam the door shut? Jessica's heart raced as she took that decisive step forward, a moment of clarity cutting through the swirling chaos in her mind. She felt all the worry she carried, the judgment of others, the doubts of whether they would take Maya seriously begin to settle as she focused on the glimmer of hope in her daughter's eyes. Jack nodded encouragingly, sensing her hesitation momentarily dissipate. "Jessica, we cannot miss this opportunity. What Maya has shown us today is special. It's pure creativity that could bring us an entirely new perspective." As if the spirit of the room willed it, murmurs of agreement started surfacing. Some members of the audience leaned forward in their seats, eager to hear what else Jack had to say. Jessica couldn't help but be drawn in by the moment, a swell of determination bubbling inside her. She cleared her throat, prepared to face the naysayers. "Jack is right," she said, her voice soft but unyielding. What Maya expressed today, her ideas, this is not trivial. This is what we need. We've become too caught up in our own processes and routines. We've forgotten how to question everything. The moment Jessica mentioned Maya's name, a hush fell again. Everyone looked toward the little girl, who was struggling to contain her excitement, her fingers twitching at her pencil. Maya felt the intensity of the room, and the excitement radiating from Jessica felt like a warm embrace. Jessica could feel the weight of scrutiny from some, but the heated glances were slowly turning into intrigue. I know it sounds unconventional, Jessica continued, squeezing her hands together, battling the vulnerability of raising her daughter's talent in front of powerhouses. But even if it seems like a long shot, don't we owe it to ourselves to try? A voice cut through the tension like lightning. But how can we trust a child to lead? The skepticism was palpable. Jessica recognized the voice. It was Mark, one of the high-ranking executives known for his cold logic and detachment. Isn't that what we need? Jack shot back, defending Jessica and Maya. What if she has the kind of insight we've all overlooked as adults? Something fresh that could lead us out of this mess. True, another voice chimed in from the back of the room, but she needs a mentor, someone to guide her through this process. Jessica suddenly felt like she had allies forming, ones who were beginning to understand the weight of this moment. Maya is more than capable of leading this discussion, she said firmly, turning to face the audience. Her heart pounded, but she felt supported. I will stand beside her and help navigate the waters of their expectations. Together, we can show them that it's possible. With that declaration, all eyes were on Maya. Jessica watched as her daughter's confidence flickered, then ignited into a radiant smile. She knew that beneath that quiet demeanor was a storm of ideas ready to pour out. Slowly, Jack gestured for Maya to come up. Let us hear her thoughts, he said, his voice warm and inviting, the air thick with anticipation. Maya, would you like to share what you've been working on? As she took her place at the front, Maya glanced back to Jessica, who nodded encouragingly. The crowd held their breath, waiting. Maya opened her notebook, her tiny fingers poised over the pages. I have ideas, her voice emerged bravely, yet softly, about the product, and how we can change things for everyone. And just like that, time stretched. All at once, everything felt suspended in the air, the risk, the love, the hope. But would Maya's ideas hold weight? Would they welcome her insights? Or would greater voices of authority drown her out before she could be heard? Jessica's pulse quickened again. The stakes were rising, and they were all about to find out. Maya took a deep breath, the scent of the polished wood table filling her senses like a familiar home. She could feel the weight of everyone's attention locking onto her, but instead of shrinking back, a rush of adrenaline ignited something inside her. This was her moment. She gripped her notebook tightly, the pages crinkling under her fingers, and began to speak. What if we change how we look at our product? Her voice grew steadier as she continued. I mean, instead of just selling it, what if we make it a part of people's lives? She could see several brows furrow, but she pressed on. What if it becomes something that connects them? Like a story or a friend? Jessica felt a surge of pride. Maya was finding her footing, circling her ideas with the passion only a child could muster. The murmurs around the room shifted, curiosity blending in with skepticism. A man in a crisp suit leaned in closer, intrigued despite himself. And how do you propose we do that? He asked, his tone surprisingly gentle. Maya chewed on her lip for a moment, then flipped to a different page in her notebook. We could have, a character. Someone who represents the product in a way people can relate to. She gestured wildly, her eyes lighting up. What if we create a whole world around it? Like games, and stories, and videos, stuff that gets people involved. Jessica's heart swelled. Maya's imagination was flourishing. Even some of the adults looked inspired, nodding along with her enthusiasm. But creating a character is just the start, Maya added, her confidence building. If we can get people to love it, to feel like it's part of them, then we can really help. Her words danced around the room, igniting sparks of understanding and, perhaps, even hope. Mark's critical gaze softened slightly. Interesting. You want to create an emotional connection, but how would that translate into actual change? His voice still held doubt, but there was a flicker of interest behind it. Maya paused, her brow furrowing in thought, trying to summon her next words. She nodded to herself, remembering how her mother always encouraged her to dig deeper. We could listen to what people want. Have them help us make it. We could hold contests and ask them to share their own stories. The room was electric. The response was thoughtful nods, and conversations bubbling beneath the surface. Jessica glanced at Jack, who looked positively beaming. He mouthed, "This is brilliant," to her, and she felt a tear prick her eye. "Let us really listen," Maya went on, her tiny voice filled with urgency. "When we include everyone, they become part of it, and it stops being just our thing. It becomes theirs." At that moment, Jessica could see Maya's ideas beginning to fracture the rigid, skeptical walls the adults had built around their minds. She wanted to believe that it could work, that her daughter, despite her age, had the kind of clarity that adults so often lost in their pursuits. But as Jessica looked around, she noticed Mark's expression. He was deep in thought, contemplating. She could almost hear the clanking of gears in his mind. The air thickened with unspoken questions. "Can you hold a group meeting with your friends?" he said finally, a hint of challenge lacing his words. "Will they be able to offer real feedback on your ideas?" Maya didn't hesitate. "I can invite them anytime. We can brainstorm together. Kids see things differently. They notice what adults miss." Jessica's breath caught in her throat. This was at the moment of truth. Would they embrace Maya's approach, or would fear of the unconventional push them back to the safe, stale routines they had grown so accustomed to? As Jessica stood there, caught in the tide of potential, she realized the outcome was bigger than their meeting. It was about believing in change, believing in Maya, and believing that sometimes magic could be found where you least expected it. And just as Mark leaned back in his chair, his expression indecipherable, Jessica felt a small hand slip into hers. Maya's fingers were warm, reassuring. The world was brimming with unknowns, and yet, in that moment, it felt like everything was teetering on the edge of something extraordinary. Would they take this leap of faith together, or would fear hold them hostage? Jessica could hardly bear to think of what would happen next. The atmosphere in the room shifted, a palpable sense of tension melding with a newfound curiosity. Jessica held her breath, anxiously anticipating the response from the group. Mark sat quietly, the wheels of his mind visibly turning. Would he see the merit in Maya's proposal, or was he still anchored in the skepticism that adult reasoning often fostered? Across the table, an executive with graying hair cleared his throat. "You mentioned inviting your friends," he said, assessing Maya's confidence with a steady gaze. "But what if they don't take it seriously? What if they don't have the same vision?" Maya's confidence faltered for a moment. Doubt crept in, but she shook it off, determination flooding back. "But they will take it seriously. They know the product already. And if they get to create with me, they'll see it in a whole new way." Her eyes sparkled with conviction. Mark nodded slowly, contemplating her words. "It sounds promising, but how will you ensure their voices are heard? Kids can be unpredictable." "I love unpredictable," Maya exclaimed, her voice ringing with excitement. "When we let kids be creative, we get ideas that no one has thought of before. Real ideas. It can be just like our playtime at school, but for something bigger." The adults exchanged glances, the tension slightly easing as their skepticism softened under the weight of her enthusiasm. Jessica felt her heart thumping, each beat echoing the hope she clung to for Maya. "All right," Mark finally said. "Let us give it a shot. You'll need to prepare a presentation for next week. Call your friends, get them excited, and then we'll decide if your ideas are something we can work with." Maya's face lit up. "Really? You mean it?" "Really," he confirmed, a small smile finally breaking through his usually stoic demeanor. "Thank you. I promise you won't regret it," came her cheerful response. Jessica felt an overwhelming rush of gratitude. She squeezed Maya's hand, her heart swelling with pride. This wasn't just about a product. It was about nurturing a dream, a tiny spark that had a chance to ignite into a roaring flame. As the meeting wrapped up and the adults slowly filed out, Jessica approached Mark. "Thank you for believing in her," she said softly. "It means the world." He held her gaze, sincerity reflected in his eyes. "I'm not sure we've seen anything like this before. Kids can surprise us all. Let us see if Maya can deliver." That night, Jessica and Maya sat together at the dining table, papers and crayons scattered around them. The kitchen was filled with the warm glow of their small lamp, and it felt intimate, like their own little world. "Mama, what if we made a really cool character? Like a friendly creature who helps people?" Maya began to brainstorm, her excitement bubbling over. Jessica listened as waves of joy swept over her. It was as if looking at the ideas flowing from her daughter was watching a masterpiece come to life. This was only the start. The next day, Maya invited her friends over, their voices echoing through the house, alive with energy. They dove into discussions, laughter weaving through their ideas. Yet in the background lurked a concern and nagging thought in the back of Jessica's head. Was she ready for the attention that this could bring? What if the project floundered, exposing Maya to disappointment? With every giggle and wild idea exchanged in their makeshift workshop, Jessica felt a tension building within her, a mix of joy and anxiety. Maya was doing something extraordinary, but what would happen when the dust settled? As night fell, and the kids stretched their legs, they settled into a circle, brainstorming their character ideas under the glow of string lights decorating the room. Jessica watched them transform into creators, their possibilities as bright as the stars outside her window. And just as she thought about how far Maya had come, an unexpected knock at the door interrupted her reverie. Looking through the peephole, Jessica saw Mark standing there, a deep frown marking his face. What had happened now? Why was he back? Her heart raced as she opened the door, bracing herself for whatever news awaited her next. Jessica opened the door, heart pounding in her chest. Mark stood there, his expression serious, the kind that usually hinted at urgent matters. She felt a rush of emotions, a mix of excitement and dread. "Mark, is everything all right?" she asked, trying to gauge the situation. He took a deep breath, running a hand through his hair. "Can I come in?" Jessica stepped aside, her mind racing with possibilities, as he walked into the living room. The laughter of the kids faded a little as they turned their heads, sensing the shift in energy. "Kids, keep working on your ideas," she called out, giving them a reassuring smile before turning back to Mark. "I wasn't going to ask this," but he started, hesitating slightly. "I've been in meetings all day. Word about Maya's proposal has gotten around the company faster than I thought." A shiver ran down her spine. "What do you mean?" "People are interested. Very interested. And some in executive roles have doubts." He stared intently at Jessica. "They want to see proof. They're asking for a sneak peek at her ideas." Jessica's stomach dropped. The thought of her daughter's creativity being scrutinized by the higher-ups made her uneasy. But Maya's just a kid. She is still working on her ideas. It's not ready for that." Mark nodded, a flicker of sympathy crossing his face. "I know, but in the business world, they want to see something concrete. They're looking for kids who can present and hold their ground." If they sense any hesitation, it'll raise questions. Maya rushed into the room, her cheeks pink from excitement. Mama, guess what? We thought of a name for our creature. He's called Buddy, and he helps kids find lost stuff. Jessica forced a smile, her heart heavy with conflicting emotions. That's great, honey. Mark's gaze softened as he looked at Maya, his expression shifting from serious to impressed. You've got something special, kiddo. Thanks, mister. Maya beamed, completely unaware of the rising stakes. Then, it hit Jessica. A wave of resolve washed over her. Somehow, they had to get Maya ready. Okay, Mark, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. Let us find a way to make this work. His eyes brightened, and for the first time, a glimmer of hope surfaced. Really? You want to push forward? I have to. Maya believes in it, and I won't let her down. All right. Let us gather your friends again and prepare a mini presentation for the execs. They need to see her innovation, the raw talent. Maya clapped her hands, bouncing on her feet. Can we include drawings? And maybe a song about Buddy? Jessica laughed, but there was an edge to it. Absolutely. All ideas are welcome. As the kids resumed their brainstorming, Jessica's mind raced. Would they be able to pull it off? Would the innocent ideas of children hold up against the expectations of the adults in the corporate world? She glanced at Maya. The light and inspiration in her eyes drove Jessica's resolve. But there was still a weight on her heart. What if things didn't go well? What if those interests turned into pressure, leaving Maya feeling overwhelmed? Suddenly, a thought struck her. Mark, what if we turned this into a community project? Something fun for all the kids to participate in? His brows knitted in consideration. That might just be it. Kids love to collaborate, and it could showcase their creativity and teamwork. Jessica breathed deeply, fueled by a rising sense of empowerment. She had a plan, and it was taking shape. But the very real possibility of failure lingered at the edges. From the next room, she heard Maya's laughter mingling with her friends. It was contagious, alive, igniting a flicker of hope within her. Yet, with all this swirling around, could she truly protect Maya from the inevitable pressures that fame and attention could bring? The door opened wider as the kids piled into the hallway, brimming with ideas and energy. One thing was certain: the real challenge was just beginning. And just like that, Jessica's phone buzzed. A message popped up from Mark. They need to see results soon. Her heart sank. Could they really do this? Tonight, everything would shift. She could feel it in her bones. The meeting was set for the following afternoon, and Jessica barely slept that night. Images of Maya presenting her ideas danced in her mind, but they were always tangled with thoughts of doubt. What if the executives didn't get it? What if they dismissed her daughter's work as childish? As she lay in bed, every scuffle of a leaf against the window felt amplified in the silence, an echo of her racing thoughts. When dawn broke, the sun offered no comfort. It felt like the world had shifted under her feet. She knew they had to make today count. After a hurried breakfast that Maya barely touched, they gathered the kids in the living room. Jessica had set up a poster board, each section filled with colored drawings and the wild ideas of her daughter and her friends. She felt a spark of pride. Each piece represented a world only children could dream up, a magical place where lost toys found their way home, and buddies could help solve every problem. Okay, everyone. Jessica clapped her hands, trying to muster a cheerfulness she was far from feeling. Today's the day. We're going to share your work and creativity. But first, let me remind you, this is about fun. It's about showing what you can do together. Maya's eyes shone with excitement, and Jessica felt her heart thaw a little. The way Maya animatedly shared her vision for Buddy, how he was more than just a character, but a friend who helps kids feel better, was infectious. The team practiced their presentation over and over, each run-through revealing small improvements and bursts of confidence. Yet each moment of growth was shadowed by Jessica's worries. Would the spark of their ideas shine bright enough for the executives, or would it fizzle under the harsh lights of corporate scrutiny? As they practiced their quick skits and songs, Maya turned to Jessica. "Mama, what if the big people don't like Buddy?" Jessica swallowed hard, willing her words to be a fortress of strength. "What matters is that you believe in Buddy. You created him, and you know he is special. Just be yourself, honey. That's all anyone can ask for." Maya nodded, though doubt still lingered in the back of her bright eyes. The team ran through their presentation one last time, their laughter echoing in the house, a buoyant shield against the looming pressure. Then came the knock on the door. Mark had arrived, his face a mask of determination. "Are you all ready?" he asked, a touch of excitement breaking through the worried lines on his forehead. Jessica felt the apprehension tighten in her throat. "As ready as we'll ever be," she replied, taking a deep breath. They piled into Mark's car, the energy inside a mix of excitement and trepidation. Every bump in the road seemed to amplify Jessica's anxiety, as Maya chattered excitedly in the back seat, oblivious to the stakes. When they arrived at the towering glass building of the company, reality hit hard. Jessica could feel the weight of the space around them. This wasn't just a presentation to their friends. They were stepping into a world filled with suits and power. "All right, team. Let us show them what you've got," Mark encouraged as they made their way to the conference room. But in the gut of Jessica, a wave of fear crashed. What if they turned her daughter's shining spirit into just another business transaction? The kids stood at the entrance, nervous but ready, and Jessica's heart swelled at the sight of them. Suddenly Maya reached for her hand, her small fingers wrapping tightly around Jessica's. "Let us go get him, Mama." The warmth of her daughter's belief ignited a fire within Jessica. She smiled down at Maya, pushing past her own fears. "Just be you," she whispered back, squeezing her hand. As the door swung open, they stepped into the room. But just as Maya began her very first line, the lead executive, a sharp woman with piercing eyes, interrupted. "Before we start, I need to know why this matters." Time seemed to stand still, and all the confidence and energy that buzzed within the kids faltered for a brief moment. Could they regain their momentum after such direct scrutiny? Jessica's heart raced as she watched Maya's face pale. Would her daughter's first encounter with the corporate world consume her spark? The moment of truth had really arrived, and it suddenly felt like so much hung in the balance. Maya stood frozen, her small frame trembling just slightly as the room fell silent. All eyes were now on her, waiting. Panic flashed through Jessica's mind as she noticed the glimmer of nerves swell in her daughter's eyes. This was everything that Jessica feared, the first impression shattered by a question so steeped in the practicality of grown-up concerns that it threatened to dim Maya's colorful vision. "Why does it matter?" Maya echoed the question, swallowing hard. Clarity and doubt collided in her young mind like clouds before a storm. Jessica took a step forward, determined to shield her daughter from whatever shadow loomed over them. "It matters because," Jessica began, only to be cut off by Maya, who suddenly found her voice. "It matters because Buddy is a friend," Maya exclaimed, her tone earnest and clear. "He helps kids feel safe when they're sad or scared. And sometimes, when you feel like you lost something like your favorite toy or a pet, Buddy helps you find a way back to happy." The lead executive raised an eyebrow, intrigued for the first time. "And how is that important in a world driven by profit?" Maya took a deep breath, her determination flickering like a candle's flame, unwavering against the draft. "Because kids don't always know how to say they need help. Sometimes they just give up. But Buddy shows them it's okay to feel those feelings, and that they can talk about it. When you're a kid and you're lost, Buddy helps you find your way." Jessica could barely breathe, her heart swelling with pride. Maya's innocence was pouring out in waves pure, untouched by the rules of conformity or cynicism. The executive leaned forward, her expression softening just slightly. "And what is left if they don't find that help?" Maya's little voice wavered, but she stood tall. "They get sadder. They feel alone. I think a lot of kids feel that way. I know there are kids who need a buddy." Jessica could see a spark igniting in the row of executives, a flicker of recognition, as Maya's small voice rang out with such sincerity. For a moment, they were reminded of their own childhood, a time before responsibilities tangled dreams. It appeared that Maya had cast a spell, drawing them into her vibrant world. Mark shot a proud smile at Maya, encouraging her to continue. "Keep going, honey," he murmured. Maya beamed, her spirit renewed. "That's why it matters. Buddy can help kids feel better, be friends, and even solve problems. He teaches them how to ask for help. If they don't know that, how can they ever find someone to help them?" Head nods exchanged between the executives, and Jessica felt a rush of hope. They had a chance. Maya's voice mattered in this room of decision-makers. "But what makes your idea different from all the other toys and characters?" Another executive prompted, skepticism still etched on her face. Maya clutched her poster tightly, as if Buddy was right there with her. "Because Buddy isn't just a toy. He is real in the hearts of all kids. That is the magic. He helps them figure things out when they don't know how." Silence enveloped the room. It was as if everyone had taken a breath, all focused on the little girl who dared to voice what many had long forgotten. Crickets chirped in the distance, and for the first time today, Maya smiled wide, piercing through the veil of uncertainty around her. Would they breathe life into her dream or mold it into something unrecognizable? Jessica couldn't help but wonder. Maya looked at the executive, her eyes sparkling with the hope and innocence only a child could possess. "Can you believe in Buddy's magic? Can you help make it real?" The tension in the room shifted, moments filled with possibility. And as the air grew thick with anticipation, Jessica realized their venture into the corporate world was not the only test. Would their belief shine bright enough to illuminate the path ahead? As murmurs filled the air, Maya's small voice rose above the clamor. "Can we work together? To help kids? We can make it happen." With that question hanging in the air, the room held its breath, a moment. Hanging in the balance, waiting to see if dreams could truly meet reality in this strange world. But the next words came not from the kids or the executives. Instead, it was a voice Jessica never expected to hear, piercing through the crowd. "Can we trust a child's vision to solve a grown-up's problems?" The real test was just beginning. Maya's heart raced as the voice echoed through the boardroom. The words cut deep, a challenge wrapped in skepticism. She felt small again, like a tiny bird in a vast sky, suddenly unsure if she could soar. Fear washed over her, that bubble of hope starting to deflate. Jessica stepped closer, ready to fight for her daughter. "Excuse me," she said, voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. "Maya may be young, but her ideas come from a place of genuine understanding. She knows what kids feel, and that matters." The executive who spoke didn't look convinced. The weight of her stare felt like it could crush Maya. "Understanding is one thing, but this is a business. We need results, metrics, something tangible." "Buddy is tangible," Maya blurted out, desperation creeping into her voice. "He helps in ways you can't measure. Imagine all the kids who feel unseen. Buddy gives them a voice. You can't put a price on that." Jessica inhaled sharply, a mixture of pride and fear swelling inside her. Her daughter was fighting back, and she wished to shield her from doubt. But witnessing Maya stand up for what she believed in stirred something deep within her. A flicker of courage. The room was heavy with tension. Jessica glanced at Mark, whose supportive expression urged her to keep moving. What's more important, she pressed, profit or impacting lives? Isn't that what this industry should be about? Helping kids find their way back to joy. Maya shifted her feet, grounding herself. If Buddy helps kids not feel alone, then that's a win. We can show that it's okay to ask for help. Imagine the friendships formed, the lessons learned. It's like planting seeds of happiness. The executive leaned back, arms crossed, but something in her gaze flickered, a crack in her armor, perhaps? Other members of the board were whispering now, exchanging glances as if the little girl might just hold a key they never considered. Then came another voice, softer this time. But how do we convince the stakeholders? They want to easily see Buddy as a valuable tool. This one had a hint of empathy, as if it wanted to connect with Maya's dream. Maya's eyes sparkled as she spoke again. We share stories. We let kids tell their own. We let them show how Buddy helps. She paused, feeling the warmth of conviction flooding her soul. And if we believe in Buddy, others will too. The murmurs grew louder, as the executives exchanged hesitant looks. Jessica held her breath. Could they really see it? Could they really understand? I think we need to see it in action. It was the same executive who had doubted. Can we create a pilot program? A trial to see if kids respond the way you say? Jessica's heart raced at the thought. Could they actually bring Buddy to life? Maya's excitement was infectious. Yes! Yes! She shouted, her arms flailing in joyful abandon. We just have to try. The room lit up, hope dancing amid the uncertainties. Maya's vision had opened a door, but it also set the stakes higher. They needed to deliver, to prove that her dream could turn into reality. But just as the air thickened with excitement, the earlier question loomed again, whispering doubts. What if it doesn't work? What happens to her heart then? What do we say to those kids? In that moment of tension, Maya turned to her mother, seeking reassurance, but finding herself tangled in the web of expectations they'd just woven. As the executives debated quietly, the clock ticked on the wall, a reminder that time was fleeting, that decisions were coming. Would they take the leap into uncertainty, or would they withdraw back into comfort? The room was alive, the air heavy with possibility. And as Maya stood, the ground shifting beneath her, she took a deep breath, realizing that her journey had only just begun. Could the power of a child's heart change grown-up minds? Would she be able to carry her dream through, no matter the obstacles? The moment held its breath. Maya's wide eyes flickered between hope and uncertainty, while Jessica's heart thundered against her chest. Everything hinged on the executive's next move. Every second stretched infinitely, the power of possibility swirling in like a summer storm. Then, the atmosphere rippled as a man with gray hair, the most senior among the board members, hesitantly stood up. I see merit in what you're proposing, he said slowly, as if testing the weight of his own words. But it requires commitment, resources, and faith. Can you assure us that this idea will not only resonate with kids, but also achieve actual growth? Maya's mind raced, but she felt the support of her mother's warmth nearby. We can do it together, she cried out, her small voice steady. We can reach out to schools, get feedback from kids. We could even hold a contest to see what they want Buddy to be. Her enthusiasm soared, catching on every heart in the room. Jessica's breath caught. This was it. Her daughter was channeling not just dreams, but a vision for connection. If they could get kids involved, pull those strings of imagination and curiosity, how could the world resist? The executives, once dismissive, began whispering among themselves. Jessica watched as the glimmers of interest sparked in their eyes, morphing skepticism into intrigue. Mark, who had stood beside them through this roller coaster, took a step forward. This isn't just about profit, it's about authenticity. Kids are the future of our company, and Buddy can show us how to connect with them in a meaningful way. Let us give Maya a chance to prove that. Jessica felt tears welling as she met Mark's gaze. This powerful man was backing her daughter. The passion to champion Maya's dreams rippled through him, cutting through years of corporate rigidity with the purity of belief. Finally, the lead executive leaned in, her expression cautious but softening. If we're going to engage our stakeholders, I'll lead the pilot program. Maya interjected, her small frame radiating energy and determination. We'll get kids involved, share their stories, give Buddy wings. She tugged at their hearts, that innocence framing a substantial approach. With a collective nod, the executives started to come together. The spark was infectious. They thrived on the energy that Maya's confidence brought. All right, came the lead executive's measured voice, tinged with reluctant admiration. Let us set up a trial. If you can involve the community and truly illustrate Buddy's impact, we'll stand behind you. She deserves a chance, Jessica said warmly, her voice thick with emotion. She'll deliver. We'll deliver. In that moment, she knew that life outside their hotel would no longer be defined by walls, but by dreams stretching wide across a horizon only they could imagine. With a surge of excitement, the kids erupted into cheers, each small voice rising, echoing off the polished walls of the boardroom. An idea that began in the margins had found its roots and was ready to flourish. Days turned into weeks, and Maya dedicated herself to the project, pulling together her friends and crafting stories of Buddy's adventures. They painted murals, wrote letters, and invited more kids to join their community, the momentum becoming a beautiful whirlwind of creativity. Jessica watched her daughter transform, the child blossoming into a confident leader while still cherishing her sweet innocence. Evenings turned into brainstorming sessions, laughter spilling like sunshine through their tiny living room as Maya led her friends without ever losing a spark of joy. Then came the day of the pilot launch. The air buzzed with anticipation as kids gathered in a park, children's laughter and vibrant colors filling the space. Jessica struggled to keep her tears at bay as she saw Maya at the center, her small voice projecting brightly as she introduced Buddy. "Everyone deserves a friend," she proclaimed, excitement thrumming through her words. "Buddy teaches us how to be brave when we're scared." The transformation around her was palpable. Kids cheered, connecting with Maya's vision. The community banded together, welcoming Buddy into their lives. As snowflakes tumbled from the sky and decorated Buddy's world, Jessica felt a tidal wave of gratitude. In that moment, she recognized that the journey had been more than just Maya's, it was theirs, a union of love and resilience bound to elevate their lives. "Together, we can really change things," Maya explained, bursting with enthusiasm. Jessica smiled back through tears, knowing in her heart that she was watching an extraordinary journey unfold, a story fueled by belief and anchored in love, reminding them all that dreams could lift spirits and break boundaries. In that moment of clarity, they had proven something profound. Sometimes the brightest ideas bloom in the unlikeliest of places, and together, they could illuminate a world waiting to hear their voices. And as lights faded on the celebration party, Jessica took Maya's hand and whispered, "You are my world, and look what you've accomplished. You did it, my brave little dreamer." They shared a warm hug, hearts intertwined in a bond that was deeper than words, luminous against the backdrop of an infinite sky filled with possibilities. The story wasn't over. It was only the beginning. Now is your moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Trust me, it makes a huge difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. This is the time to share your thoughts. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and join the journey. Don't wait not even one more second. Show the love and support to keep the magic alive.